I'm unbeatable, I'm unbeatable, I'm unbeatable. Couple minutes left score. Every time they wanna clash, the winners kicking through the door. I am unbeatable. Chances running out of stock, and we're running out the clock. I fail once, never stop. I am unbeatable. I am unbeatable. I am unbeatable, yeah. I am unbeatable. I am unbeatable, yeah. I am unbeatable. I am unbeatable, yeah. I am unbeatable. I am unbeatable, yeah.
Good evening and welcome to the British Basketball League. It's week 2 and tonight sees two teams who got off to a flying start, the Eagles and the Flyers. Both Newcastle and Bristol won their opening games thanks to dominant performances from two men called Green, Taj Green for Newcastle and Brad Green for Bristol. We're giving the green light to commentators Josh Bett and Ant Rowe.
Well, a big thank you to Jeanette again. Welcome, everybody, to this British Basketball League fixture between the Bristol Flyers and the Newcastle Eagles. Well, good evening, everybody watching this game live. I'm your commentator, Josh Bett, alongside Mr. Championship DNA, Ant Rowe, and this is going to be one hell of a matchup between two very good teams.
I think so. Both teams are undefeated. Look, it's really early in the season, but not one blemish on those records. Intrigued to find out the outcome of this matchup.
Well, both teams winning their opening games. As we mentioned, the Newcastle Eagles, a big victory at home against the Sheffield Sharks, while the Bristol Flyers making easy work of the Plymouth City Patriots. Well, why don't we take a look at the starting lineups here for the Flyers. And again, looking at this lineup, Thomas Edwards returned to the British Basketball League. It's been a homecoming dream start for him in his opening game.
Yeah, I felt like they really missed him last year. They missed his toughness, his leadership. He's been given the captaincy role, so look for him to lead from the front. You got Brad Green, previous player, team of the week last week, and you got a young British guard in Corey Samuels there leading from the front.
Well, of course, the big name has been Brad Green, as you mentioned, the big man coming from the University of California in Irvine. But what a big impact he had in that opening game. On the Newcastle Eagles, we're talking about the most successful team in the history of the British Basketball League, but a different starting lineup that we're seeing from their opening win against the Sheffield Sharks.
Yeah, they've gone really big tonight, Josh. I think trying to neutralize Brad Green and Del Pesh and Green going to be those big muscle men in the front court looking to control the boards. And you've got Whitfield now being given that starting 5 spot, which allows for Larry Austin Jr. to come off the bench to inject that energy.
Well, it's going to be an interesting homecoming here for Malcolm Del Pesh, having spent the last few seasons here with the Bristol Flyers. But let's take a look at Brad Green. I mean, you were a post player back in your day, and this man, he makes the game look so easy. Almost looks like a baby Tim Duncan when he's out there on the floor for the Flyers.
Well, he's a big man with a big body, 6'11", excellent skills inside. He does a really good job as well of creating or using up a lot of space down low. He's a walking double-double, played in the Austrian Superliga last season, 16 points and 11.4 rebounds a game, and he's had his double-double last year in his one appearance in the British Basketball League. He's going to be looking to do much of the same this season.
Well, prior to going and playing in Austria, he did play in the lower divisions in Germany, but many British Basketball League fans will be interested to know that in his freshman year at UC Irvine, he was teammates with the GB General of the London Lions, Luke Nelson. So it's going to be very interesting. He was a freshman, Nelson was a senior when they match up against each other. Well, momentarily, we will take a look at the Newcastle Eagles. One of the key names that we have to mention, Taj Green, transferring from the Manchester Giants. But, didn't play at a high level university basketball, played JUCO in his first 2 years, and then went to Benedict College, NCAA Division II. But he looks at home here in the British Basketball League.
He's the diamond in the rough, living the British basketball dream. And we love to see stories like this. And what a prolific season he had last year. 18 points, 9 rebounds a game, earned him the All-BBL team last year, and he's now on this Newcastle Eagles squad.
Well, Newcastle Eagles clinching that final playoff spot last season, but we're talking about the most successful team in the history of the British Basketball League. A team that has culture, tradition, and that word again, history. The greatest team in the history of our league.
Well, when you look at modern day history, it was the Newcastle Eagles. They were the team that you had to knock off the pedestal. It was always that enriched tradition of winning, even more so that they've got coaches in the NBA even today.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we will get set for tip-off momentarily, but at the moment, we're going to head for a short little break here in this matchup of the British Basketball League.
Let's take this thing higher, higher than you ever been. Stand tall like Everest, higher. You ain't gotta settle in, go places they never been. We go higher, non-stop. the top even when the ball drops. My man.
Now going to be set for tip-off between these two teams, the Giants of the British Basketball League, Newcastle Eagles. And, you know, let's go back to the season 2014-15 when the Bristol Flyers first came to the British Basketball League. You know, many teams struggled when they made that opening season, but now we're going to pay homage to Josh Bowe, David Griffin, and Harvey West. We're very proud to say we have some of the finest officials here in the British Basketball League, but now we are set for tip-off. Oh, and tempo is going to be key in this game between these two teams. Newcastle going with a bigger lineup, but they have to get off their marks running quickly.
I think so, and you know, look at early turnover here, which is not good signs for Newcastle.
Well, good job of converting the turnovers into transition points, and already Tevin Ollison going in with a two-handed rim rocker. Well, not a good start there for the Eagles.
So much emphasis has been placed on the big men. It's the guards here making noise early. Great steal there and finish from Ollison.
Well, going with Johnson and Ricky McGill in the backcourt. As you mentioned, and a very, very big lineup. Trying to go for the handoff. Johnson pulling off of the mid-range. Can't get this one, but he gets his own rebound. Well, second chance points are going to be key as now Ricky McGill goes for a deep three. And another second chance here for the Eagles. Well, finding Taj Green, the big man, just getting a wide open look there in the paint. And, you know, that's going to be something they've got to manipulate here tonight against the Flyers.
Well, when you give a team as talented as Newcastle Eagles that many opportunities, they will convert. So Bristol Flyers going to have to do a better job of securing that defensive rebound.
Well, Green trying to give this one up now. Going for a deep three in the corner, can't get it. Well, that has been the bread and butter of this Bristol team as we saw in the opening game against the Plymouth City Patriots. Johnson going down the lane. McGill turning this one over almost, but keeps this alive. You know, this is probably one of the toughest arenas to play here in the British Basketball League, and already Johnson going for another deep three. It's up, and it's good. But, you know, this atmosphere can sometimes be very, you know, it brings a lot of adversity in your game.
I think so, Josh. And, you know, the ironic thing is the Flyers will soon be moving out of this location, but you can't help but feel there's been a lot of wins that this environment's helped secure over the years.
Well, Green going for the mid-range, and again, there's the comparisons. I said the baby Tim Duncan of the British Basketball League. You got to love his game.
Yeah, it's a nice, cool, calm, collective jump shot there.
Taj Green trying to fire from the perimeter, can't get it. Eagles battling for offensive boards. Flyers able to secure this one. Well, Ollison currently in the backcourt. They're trying to find Green in the low block. This one, Eagles help side defense needs to come into play. Flyers go for a three-pointer. Still can't get it. McGill doing a good job of keeping Evans Thomas off the rebound.
Well, you see Del Pesh matching up against Brad Green there, looking to put a big, strong body on him.
Well, can Newcastle again get something going? McGill pump fakes. Down the lane, makes a dish off in the lane. Count it. Well, nice little penetration by Ricky McGill.
It was great work from both guards there. Ricky McGill, but you saw just a few seconds before Jordan Johnson there attacking the rim, trying to create, make something happen.
Well, Newcastle again making it very tough here for the Bristol Flyers, but again, they get another wide open look, and again, the three-pointer is no good. Green battling for offensive boards, and somehow, some way, Taj Green, I mean, and I don't know what you call that, maybe a circus shot, but oh, they'll take it.
It's an incredible play. I mean, he's got to fight off the defender hanging on his arms, and then he has the ability there to concentrate on that shot. Excellent play there from Taj Green.
Well, they said tonight it's going to be the battles of the greens. Brad Green featured, but at the moment, Taj Green, I mean, they're going to have to do a better job of keeping him off the offensive rebounds because he is simply relentless when going after those second chance points.
He is. We've seen offensive rebounds of all calibers from Taj Green, one of which made the plays across the globe.
Well, the infamous, I like to call it the Tracy McGrady play where he threw it off the backboard from the three-point line. Samuel's playing point guard duties here for the Flyers. Del Pesh trying to be aggressive against Brad Green. Newcastle doing everything they can to prevent the big man from getting the ball, and they do an excellent job collectively. But can they convert this to a transition point? Well, McGill goes behind the back. Del Pesh unable to finish that one, but you know, a wasted transition opportunity there for the Eagles.
It was indeed, and I think Del Pesh would want that one back. I think that's a catchable ball there, and he should catch and finish in that danger area.
Thomas Edwards kick, but another turnover. Well, they got numbers now. Going to go all the way, and again, it gets rejected, but another offensive board. Oh, Green, I don't know if he lost balance there, but again, it's another wasted chance for the Eagles.
Well, he did the hard part, didn't he? He got the rebound again, but just didn't have the legs and the lift to finish.
Well, this is going to be interesting now because Bristol Flyers aren't able to get things going from the perimeter. I mean, that is their bread and butter, but, you know, what are some other ways that they can try to get themselves in this game?
Well, if you're not shooting the ball well, you're going to want high percentage shots in and around the rim. I think they've got a pretty good guy in that, in Brad Green, so they're going to look to perhaps feed him down low, get some high percentage shots around the rim.
Well, Delpesh getting it from 15 feet. Something Bristol will be happy to see him take, but if he knocks those down, it's going to be a long night here for the Flyers. Thomas Edwards going down to Brad Green. Going up against the former Bristol Flyer player, but unable to capitalize. Wilson finding an opening, goes in with the Euro step and a nice defensive presence there from the Eagles. But Bristol still finding, and a foul is going to be called against Delpesh.
Wow, it's such an erratic start to this game. High energy, you can tell the intensity levels are high, but what you're getting from that, you're getting a lot of errors. We've seen multiple turnovers already, and the players lift on the shots. Everything seems to be short. They're expending so much energy on the initial play to get possession of the ball, but the shots are certainly lacking the accuracy right now.
Well, the question will be for the Flyers, are they going to be able to get things going as Samuels pulls up for three? Can't get it. It's Larry Austin Jr. just checking into the game now for the Eagles. Trying to get a handoff now with Delpesh. Whitfield down the middle, pulls up. That guy can't get it, but again, another offensive board here for the Eagles. Finds Taj Green, one more pass in the corner. Johnson had the shot, but that's going to be, well, it's going to be possession back to the Eagles, but, you know, you've played in this arena many times, of course. It is a very different format, the way the rims are structured and the floor and the crowd from many other British Basketball League arenas, excuse me. But, you know, what's one way you can try to settle yourself in when you go and play on the road against Bristol?
Well, it's not so much the size too. You always think it's going to be the colossal arenas that cause the most problems, but it's the small ones, it's the intimate ones. You can see the fans are literally touching the inbound in there, so you feel like everything is on top of you, which adds to the atmosphere.
Well, Green down the three-pointer. And again, if Taj Green's getting offensive boards and making three-point shots, it's going to be a long night here for the Flyers.
7 early points for him. His confidence is going to be sky high.
Goes down the middle, gets rejected. Bristol finding it tough to get inside the paint, but now can Austin Jr. Green made his last three, goes for another one. Just doesn't get the right angle on that.
No, great looking shot there. It's one of those ones, if it goes down, you're happy and you're like, okay, he's got that hot hand, but it's a rush shot there. And Newcastle Eagles, the players would barely have their feet in the key there for offensive rebounds.
Struggling to make the passes now, but they go for another three-pointer. Hitting the front iron. Well, one thing Bristol, well, they do a good job. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go for a TV timeout as we'll be back momentarily.
You put the work in, everyone knows you deserve it. They must be blind like curtains, certain anything you got, you've earned it. Sky the limit, just reachable. Your some heights achievable. Can't stop me, I'm unbeatable, I'm unbeatable,
I am
I'm unbeatable.
unbeatable. Every time they want to clash, I am unbeatable. Chances running out of stop, and we're running out of clock. I fail once to the stop. I am unbeatable. I am unbeatable. Clock turn, watch and learn. How many years been working for my I'm flying over. Stay on your feet, never been put on a poster. You're a step like roller coaster. This one right here for the culture. I am unbeatable. I am unbeatable, yeah.
Let's take this thing higher, higher than you ever been. Stand tall like Everest. I mean higher. You ain't gotta settle in. Go places they never been. We go higher, non-stop. Take it to the top, even when.
Welcome back, Basketball fans, to this British Basketball League fixture between the Newcastle Eagles and the Bristol Flyers. You know, a little bit of history and between these two teams. The first time they ever met in the British Basketball League was on the 17th of October, 2014. The Eagles, you know, giving the Flyers a bit of a rude introduction to life here in the British Basketball League, winning 98-72.
Wow, it's a baptism of fire if I've ever seen one, and doing much of the same at the moment. And Bristol Flyers continue to have their troubles. 2 for 12 now on the offensive end.
Well, again, Taj Green in the paint, getting this one and finding it to drop in. Well, that's a nice little transition play. But going back to that opening game, you know, our colleague and good friend Drew Laska was 4 points and 4 rebounds away from a potential double-double. We'll have to remind him that he didn't get that double-double, though.
You just did.
Shout out to Drew Laska, but there's a nice little penetration. That's going to be 2 free throws coming up here for the Flyers. The foul is going to be on Delpesh, the former Bristol Flyer. But, you know, this man was highly regarded as the unsung hero of this team. Remember, last season, Bristol Flyers, their best ever finish in 9 seasons here in the British Basketball League, finishing 3rd. But, you know, tonight they're having a tough time guarding that man, Taj Green.
They are indeed, and at the moment, 9 points for him. And I think a problem with a player like him, he's all energy, and if his confidence is high, he can terrorize your team in a matter of moments. So Bristol Flyers are going to have to figure out a way to mitigate his production.
Well, Bristol trailing by 12 points. Well, it was a very assertive victory they had against their rivals in the Southwest Derby on opening day. Nice little mid-range shot there, and that will build their confidence.
Much needed play, and Bristol Flyers need to have to figure out a way now to get something going. But Johnson there with a nice pull-up jump shot.
Well, McGill trying to go for the free throw line, can't get this one. Thomas Edwards getting the rebound. Well, it's interesting the transition he had when playing abroad, of course, in Germany, going into a player's coach's role as Will Neighbor. Well, Neighbor just said good neighbors just can't be good friends on that one.
Will Neighbor using all of that length there. 6'10", 6'11" wingspan, and didn't really have to jump. It was just good timing. And Thomas Edwards rejected out of bounds.
Well, interesting story about Will Neighbor. When he was 15 years old, he was 6'1". 1 year later, he came back, he was 6'7", now standing at 6'10". It's a nice back-to-back buckets there for the Flyers, and that will do their confidence. As Trajan Jacob, all of a sudden, just stepping into the mix here for the home team.
Big fan of Trajan Jacob. I thought he was excellent in the season before last, where he played for the Bristol Flyers. He's an individual that is not afraid to make the big shot at 8 seconds.
Well, I think what happened there, I'd have to see the replay, but I'm not sure Larry Austin did get it over the halfway line in time. But, yeah, you're right, an 8-second violation has been called against the Newcastle Eagles.
Oh, it's little periods like here now where Bristol Flyers can try and steal back a little bit of that momentum. And we've all seen this before. The run in basketball can change the whole landscape of a game.
Jacobs down the lane again, making 6-0 run here for Trajan Jacobs. And he is flying with confidence for the Flyers.
That was Johnson just slicing through the middle there with a nice left-hand finish.
Well, Josh Ward-Hibbert also checking into the game for the Eagles. McGill trying to isolate here against Jacobs. Pump faking going all the way, gets his own rebound again. Another foul is going to be drawn. He'll go to the free throw line, but I've got to say to you, at the moment, Bristol Flyers giving, you know, too much time and respect here to the Eagles. Too many offensive rebounds have fallen into the hands of the greatest team in the history of the British Basketball League.
Well, the initial defense was good. The resistance was enough to make Ricky McGill miss the shot, but it was Ricky McGill who reacted first. And as you say, Josh, they're just unmatched so far on the offensive glass. Newcastle Eagles really making a commitment to going after that. 5 offensive rebounds already.
Well, they can see both teams combined total of 10 offensive rebounds between them, but you would expect that with the size and physicality that these two teams have provided on the floor. But, you know, what's interesting with the Newcastle Eagles, you know, for me, going into the European Northern Basketball League this season, you know, they definitely have a deep rotation, a deep lineup. But, you know, going to Mark Studel, what a fairy tale of a start to his coaching career. I mean, he was in Division III, I believe, in the National Basketball League, but also a university, or I think a college lecturer, whilst leading Great Britain to qualify for the 2022 FIBA Eurobasket.
Wow, hard work and performances, and now head coach of Team GB and head coach of the Newcastle Eagles. So, as you say, Josh, it's a remarkable evolution of his career.
Well, so we possession back to the Flyers. I think they're going to go I believe a flop there, I guess, against Ricky McGill. Well, 8-point lead to the Eagles at the moment. Again, a team that's really need to turn things around against, you know, last season being the first year for Mark Studel. There's always going to be a transition period when it's not only your first time coaching at the highest level, but also, you know, after years of great service from Fabius Fenoyes. Now, Flyers go for another 3-pointer, cutting it down to a 5-point ball game. Flyers now, but again, And it's that man again, one more time.
It's a big one, and Tevin Ollison this time knocking down the 3 in the first. For him, so far this season, we saw him, finish the season remarkably strong last year, and Coach Kapoulas was quite certain in his intention to bring Tevin Ollison back to the squad.
Well, Coach Kapoulas acting as an assistant coach under Mark Studel during the FIBA Basketball World Cup qualifiers, and now both competing against each other. Remember, next week will be the key game of the week on Sky Sports, in which the Bristol Flyers will take on the London Lions. But at the moment, they would definitely like to go into that fixture 2-0 against the league's best team at the moment.
I think so. I mean, this is a sport where confidence can be the difference between winning and losing, playing well and not playing well, and especially this early in the season where teams haven't quite got their identities formed yet. We don't really know who the strong teams are. We don't know who the weaker teams are. So, even more so important to pick up results here early.
Well, offensive rebound number 7 for the Eagles. Maybe making a dump down pass. 2 seconds up. Miguel's going to force this one up. Puts up the Hail Mary 3, but that's going to be a 24-second violation against the Newcastle Eagles.
Team was asking a lot of Ricky McGill there to hand the ball off with, I think, a second left.
I think Mark Studel also turned to his bench and said, guys, we need communication. If the shot clock's winding down, you have to tell those players on the court, we need to get something quick.
No, I totally agree, and that's an error really that can be rectified through efficient communication.
Well, McGill trying to be physical here on the defense. Trying to make life difficult here for Tejan Lucas. Kicks out, goes for another 3-point. 3 is up, and it's good. This man has become unconscious so far. Trajan Jacob, one more time.
Wow. Well, Trajan Jacob was in the starting 5 last week. This week, Coach Kapoulas wanted to see what he can bring off the bench, and so far it's 5 early points and a lot of energy.
Well, Navy going for a deep 3, rattling its way in and out. Now the Flyers with a chance to tie the game up, maybe take the lead. As the penetration goes up, and a hard foul is going to be committed by Josh Ward-Hibbert.
Wow. It's great to see Graham Royale-Bell back on the court. He had a fantastic season with the Plymouth Raiders, what they were called previously, and after a horrific knee injury which put him out the whole of last season, which he played for the Newcastle Eagles, it's what a fit-in where it's come back full circle, and now he's back on court playing against the club he could never really suit up for last year.
Well, this man's career has been a fantastic story. I mean, coming from the Lewisham Thunder, where he played in the EBL with the London Leopards, but really made a name for himself when he went and played in the National Basketball League for Matt Newby at Leeds Carnegie. He then spent some time playing in the ABA League in Spain, as well as the LEB Silver. But as you mentioned, it was that season in Plymouth. 26 games, averaging 15 and 7, but then awarded himself with a stint in the Canadian CBL, where, no doubt he played for and played against Ryan Schmidt, the former coach of the London Lions. I mean, a fantastic career for Royale.
Yeah, I'm really disappointed to see him not being able to perform last year, just because his trajectory of his career is on the upward scale. But excellent to see him, and let's see what he can do for the Flyers here on his short-term contract.
Well, great to see the hustle there from Josh Ward-Hibbert, a man who, in my mind, he is more or less, the time that he played with the London Lions, known for his intangibles. But, he's got a great shot. He's got a good handle. This has got to be the time in his career where he's got to prove himself to be an ultimate dominant scorer. As Johnson goes back door, and again, a foul has been committed, so he will go to the free throw line now for 2 shots.
Wow, it was a poor initial defense there from Flyers. It was a simple backdoor cut there from Johnson. Royale Graham Bell coming over to help, but a little bit too aggressive there on the help, being called for the foul.
Well, the foul is going to be on Lucas, so Johnson going to the free throw line now here for the Eagles. Well, Jordan Johnson standing at just 177 centimeters, but one thing you like about his game that we saw in the Sheffield game is the confidence is showing, no fear whatsoever when he takes the ball inside the paint.
No, he's excellent, great, quick foot speed. He's got that ability to get in the danger zones of the key. Excellent distributor of the basketball as well. 7-8 assists a game for Caledonia Gladiators, as well as the ability to score the ball himself. Very dangerous player.
Well, Bristol doing a good job of breaking down the full court pressure. Can they regain the lead now? Trailing by 1. Mid-range is up, no good. Larry Austin Jr. doing a good job, but again, he can't keep it from going out of bounds.
Wow, good effort play there from Larry Austin Jr., but couldn't quite gather that ball in.
Well, sideline ball now here to the Flyers. Getting this one inbound now. Pump fakes, puts up the three. Three is up. Count it! And it's good. Well, that is the dire moments of the first quarter. But ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go away for a break momentarily. But what a three-pointer that was.
You put the work in, everyone knows you deserve it. They must be blind like curtains, certain. Anything you got, you've earned it. Sky's the limit, you're reachable. Your step heights achievable. Can't stop me, I'm unbeatable. I'm unbeatable.
I am unbeatable. Every time they wanna clash, I am unbeatable. Chances running out of start, and we're running out of clock. I fail once they start. I am unbeatable. I am unbeatable. Clock's turn, what you learn. How many years been working for my flying over. Stay on your feet, never been put on a poster. You're a step like roller coaster. This one right here for the culture.
Let's take this thing higher, higher than you ever been. Stand tall like Everest. I mean higher. You ain't gotta settle in. Go places they never been. We go higher, non-stop. Take it to the top, even when the ball drops. My man.
We are basketball.
Team is everything.
We fight till the final moment.
Slow in the corner for the win. Can you believe it?
These are new beginnings. Time to raise the standard.
Be better than the best.
McKenzie. Oh, beautiful.
10 teams, 1 goal.
Become the champion.
You know, and it's playoff champions. Let's see this in 2 decades.
We are basketball.
We are basketball.
We are basketball.
We are British basketball.
Welcome back, British Basketball League fans, here to this matchup between the Bristol Flyers and the Newcastle Eagles. And, Amro, what an unbelievable first quarter it's been. Newcastle going out to a 12-point lead, but Bristol showing the collective synergy and find themselves back in this game, and now find themselves up by 2 points at the beginning of the second quarter.
Well, it was a quarter of 2 halves. Excellent start there from Newcastle Eagles. Much speared by Taj Green as well. Remember, he wasn't part of the quarter there in the latter stages, so now he's back in the game. We'll see what the dynamics are here for the Newcastle Eagles.
Well, can they extend the lead now? Three is up again, but no good. Neighbor securing the rebound. Yeah, one thing we found out early on, Mark Studel doing a very good job in his coaching plan, to keep Brad Green away from getting the ball inside the paint.
No, excellent job. It's been a slow start by his standards, but it's a long game, and Brad Green doesn't seem to be the type of player who's going to force the issue.
Well, speaking of Green now, Taj kicking out here to Will Neighbor. Time winding down now. Neighbor, no look pass, puts it up. Can't get it, but a foul has been called. Did you just see that pass from Will Neighbor?
Wow, it was one of those passes that deserved the finish. Excellent. Sort of a no-look, over-the-shoulder pass.
Well, I've always said that Will Neighbor looks like Larry Bird, but when he makes passes like that, wow, he is Larry Bird with that play. I mean, that is incredible.
I'm more mad at Ricky McGill for not finishing that than Neighbor is, I think. Wow, what a pass.
Well, those two were teammates of the former Plymouth Raiders, in which they lost in the playoffs, of course, against the London Lions. That was a very close match. Remember, they also featured against each other. I believe it was in the Cup final. It was a very close game that was held at the University of Worcester during the lockdown. But, Ricky McGill spent some time playing in Greece at Panathinaikos, and, he's got experience of playing against some of the EuroLeague giants of Panathinaikos, Olympiacos, and, we really have missed him here in the British Basketball League.
And he's got that mentality too, like he rightfully belongs in those top leagues. He likes the big occasion, he likes the big shot, and he's certainly one of these superstar-studded players.
Well, Bristol holding on to a slender 1-point lead. Question is, can they build on it? Now for a long two-pointer. Back iron, no good. Taj Green towering for the rebound. Now can they push something here in transition? Trying to go for the quick diamond. Still finds his way here toward Hibbert. Johnson down the middle. Well, throws another little no-look in the jump hook there coming. Oh, it's almost like a deja vu dime. I wonder if they practice that pass in the training sessions under Mark Studel.
Jordan Johnson's done an excellent job there of penetrating right into the heart of that defense. That's his third assist already today.
On Jordan Johnson, prior to coming to the British Basketball League, played in Germany for Rasta Vesta, a team that did feature in the Basketball Champions League. And now, Newcastle Eagles looking to extend this. Led by 12 points. McGill down the middle. McGill going in for the fang roll, and again, making it look easy. And that's just Ricky doing Ricky Thangs on the basketball court.
That is remarkable. Just skipped his way through the defense there. Not enough resistance from the Flyers. They're going to have to adjust, or Ricky McGill is going to have a field day.
Well, Ricky McGill last season finished his time playing in New Zealand. Now, prior to going to New Zealand, he did sign a temporary contract with Beau Lacourthe, who played in the French Pro A. Didn't stay there for very long, but again, you talk about him playing in Greece, also playing in Pro A. This man has played in some of the highest domestic leagues here in Europe. Lafau is going to be called against Johnson. It's interesting backcourt they've got here, but you know, one thing I'm very impressed with the Eagles this season, the depth in players they have as opposed to the last season.
No, agreed, and I think it's that quality and depth as well, which is, again, designed for both domestic and European basketball, something that they haven't done in a very long time.
Well, another deep three-pointer, and Graham Bell. Again, it's good to see him back. It's always very catastrophic when you see a good player fall down to injury. You know what that's about as well. I mean, I was going to go back to the first time you played against Bristol Flyers, but you were recovering from double knee surgery, I believe.
Yeah, it's not easy, you know. It's obviously the physiological recovery that you've got to make, but also the psychological damage that's been done with you being out for so long. So really encouraging to see Graham Bell, have a positive start here. 5 points personal for him.
Well, back-to-back three-pointers, unable to convert there. Foul is going to be called against Josh Ward-Hibbert. So 2 free throws coming up for the Bristol Flyers.
Kendrion Johnson there, he's a very crafty player. Had a nice couple moves here. Here you see him weaving in and out of the defense. And last week, he 15 points personal in the win against Plymouth City Patriots. So positive, productive start so far to his pro career.
Well, again, as you mentioned, it was a good start for him, originally from Dallas, Texas. Still a very, very young professional, as we mentioned, played at Western Virginia University in his final season, 33 games, averaging just under 12 points. But this is now, he did start at Temple College, which is a JUCO school, and again, put up some magnificent numbers. And a season surprising, he was there for 2 years, because in his freshman year playing JUCO, 25.6 points per game. It's fair to say that this guy is a certified walking bucket.
Yeah, and you never know how it's going to translate to the pro game, but so far so good for Kendrion Johnson.
Well, 2-point lead to the Bristol Flyers. Johnson coming off the ball screen. Left wide open, uncontested, takes a three-point. That's a 10th three-point attempt here for the Newcastle Eagles. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we do have a message for you. If you're getting ready to watch the Leicester Riders taking on the Plymouth City Patriots, that game has been delayed slightly due to traffic, but that will tip off at 8:15 in just 17 minutes. But we do urge you to stay here, because currently we have a 2-point game here. Bristol currently leading the Newcastle Eagles. Johnson on the baseline, goes to the mid-range, it's 6-1. Nice little inbound play there for the Eagles.
Jordan Johnson looking to make his mark now. 6 points, 3 assists for him. You can see him orchestrating the offense.
Down the middle now, makes contact, no problem. Taking on Delpesh. All of a sudden now we're gonna have a timeout here at.
Fearless move there from Jacob, straight down the middle, and his ability to be able to adjust and finish. It's a huge play, 7 points for him.
How disappointed do you think Mark Studel will be? I mean, look, there's a penetration there, a bit of a poor closeout, but the outside defense from Delpesh, maybe just a little bit too slow to react.
That's exactly what it was. It was a timing issue there. I think the easy got past the initial defender. The big man doesn't have time to come over and help.
9 seasons that this man has coached this team, the Bristol Flyers, in the British Basketball League, after many years languishing, sometimes in the third, second, and first divisions of the NBL. But, you talk about the life, or the shell life of a professional basketball player, but Yeah, Andreas Kapoulis, he is the face of professional basketball here in Bristol.
Oh, he is indeed, and he's earned that, from the academy up, and he's a coach that is getting better. He seems to be getting better with age. Last year, remarkable season. He took a group of unknowns, essentially rookies and unknown players in the British Basketball League, and he got them to a third place finish, which was a joint second on record. So, incredible achievement for Coach Kapoulis. Now embarking on European basketball.
Well, again, they've been in the British Basketball League for 9 seasons, excluding the 1920 season. They've only missed the playoffs twice. Why that is such a big stat, the time they joined in 2014, we'd already seen teams like the Birmingham Knights, the rebranded Surrey Scorchers, and the Surrey United. Many teams are coming up and, not even winning games in the season. They made the jump from NBL, and, since then, it's been a very steady ship, but they've earned the right now to really, assert themselves as a top 3 team here in the British Basketball League. The Eagles now breaking down the full court pressure. Foul is going to be called here, so it's going to be a sideline possession to the Eagles. I want to go back to a bit of history, of course. I mean, we talked about the first time these two teams met in the British Basketball League, but do you remember your first ever game against the Bristol Flyers in 2014? Granted, you were recovering from double D surgery.
Vividly, it was 2015 season, and one thing I would say, Josh, I was really disappointed not to be part of the Southwest Derby. So when I played for Plymouth, there was no such thing as Bristol Flyers in the British Basketball League, so I never got to play in that Southwest Derby.
Well, the follow-up by Taj Green, and again, second chance points going in favor of the Eagles. 6 minutes to go here in the second quarter. Well, another wide open look here for the Flyers, and again they count it.
Wow, Jacob, you cannot leave him alone. He's not afraid to make a big play, a big shot, and here's another guy not afraid to make a big play. Taj Green causing absolute havoc on the glass.
Well, Taj Green, again, just planting himself, camping out inside the paint. But, what I really liked about that transition play, the three-pointer was made from the Flyers, but how quickly Larry Austin Jr. just gets the ball up the floor.
No, it's great acknowledgement there from the guard, and here you go. Again, Taj Green's energy. Bristol Flyers really struggling to match his physical energy on the boards. 11 points, 5 rebounds so far in this game for Taj Green.
Now, Ann, I'm going to go back to that question. The first time you ever played against the Bristol Flyers was on January 10th in 2015. As I mentioned, you were recovering from injury. That game, you played very minimal minutes. Your team won by 23. But had you not played, they would have won by 21.
That's all that matters, Josh.
Well, Amro, of course, it's an honor to be here with you. A man who's won 6 trophies here in the British Basketball League, a part of that dynasty of the Leicester Riders. That's going to be a charge call. Great defense by Taj Green. Both ends of the floor. Green really making it happen here for the Eagles.
He is doing everything. Good decision there as well. And he's a 6'8", 6'9" athletic big as well, who likes to block shots. But on that occasion, he did the mature, correct thing, and he gets Flyers to turn the ball over.
And again, if we are lucky, this game will go right down to the wire. Not a lot to separate them, but all of a sudden there you can see beating Joshua Wood-Hibbert down the middle, but unable to get it going due to the defensive prowess of Taj Green. The Eagles now looking to retake the lead. Delpesh getting a handoff now with Johnson. Johnson splits the defense, puts up the floater, can't get it. Thomas Edwards secures a rebound. Much better defensive play there from the Flyers. Can they get Brad Green in the game? Green spinning, going baseline, drew on the foul against Delpesh. I like this matchup. The new big man of Bristol going against the former big man who really represented his club with style in the last 2 seasons.
Well, the intention of Newcastle Eagles was from the start, wasn't it? Coach Stuttel chose to start Delpesh for the simple reason to neutralize Brad Green, which has worked to date. Brad Green hasn't had as much freedom as he'd had this time last week against Plymouth City Patriots.
Well, Samuel's back in the game now, being heavily defended by Austin Jr. Nowhere to go here. Green was wide open. Get the ball to him again. Another 24-second violation. I got to ask you, right now he's having a very tough night, after. Oh, we're going to a quick break right now, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back momentarily.
Sky's the limit, lost the heights achievable. Can't stop me, I'm unbeatable, I'm unbeatable, I'm
I am
unbeatable.
unbeatable. Every time they wanna clash, I am unbeatable. Chances running out of start, and we're running out of clock. I fail once they stop. I am unbeatable. I am unbeatable. Clock's turn, watch and learn. How many years been working for my flying over. Stay on your feet, never been put on a poster. You're a step like roller coaster. This one right here for the coach. I am unbeatable. I am unbeatable, yeah.
Let's take this thing higher, higher than you ever been. Stand tall like Everest. I mean higher. You ain't gotta settle in. Go places they never been. We go higher, non-stop. Take it to the top, even when the ball drops. My man.
Welcome back, Basel fans. It's this British Basel League fixture between the Bristol Flyers and the Newcastle Eagles. And, I'm your commentator, Josh Bennett, alongside Ant Rowe. Ant, in your years of experience, winning 6 trophies with the Lesser Riders as a dominant post player, Brad Green is struggling tonight. What would you do if you were in his shoes tonight?
Well, I think it's a good type of struggling, though. If you're Brad Green, it's not a 1 for 8. He's 1 for 2. He hasn't had that many good looks. He's been defended really well. Blocked shot from him as we speak. So I think here, he's a type of player that doesn't want to force the issue. He's going to let the game come to him.
Well, again, I think you heard what I said there. What a rejection there by the big man. Now he has a mismatch. Got it by Johnson, but they're going to go to Thomas Edwards for 3. Up, and he counts it. 4-point lead now to the Flyers. Their biggest lead of the game so far.
And this is what Brad Green can do. Without scoring the ball himself directly, he's plugging up space. He's drawing attraction from the defense, which allows his teammates to get open looks. As you see, Thomas Edwards step into that 3.
Well, Taj Green trying to respond with another triple. Again, Green, we have seen him time and time last season have good games in the perimeter when he played for the Giants, but at the moment, that's 4 consecutive 3-pointers he's been unable to knock down. Can they get something here in transition? Johnson finding Austin Jr. Patience might need to build up here for the Eagles. They need to be selective on the shot opportunities. As Larry Austin in the corner, he nails that one. I gotta tell you, it's great to see him in an Eagles jersey, but how many times, Dan, have we seen him do that in a Cheshire Phoenix jersey?
And it's all Jordan Johnson. You see him there at the top of the key. He was looking to pass the ball inside, but then saw a better option in the corner. That better option was Larry Austin Jr., who knocks down the corner ball.
Again, if there was ever such thing as 2K British Basketball League, I'm looking at this Eagles team, and I like this team. A lot of people know the admiration I have for this franchise, knowing them growing up and being around the league. But their first ever trophy that they'd ever won under the under the Newcastle Eagles in the British Basketball League, I believe was in 2005, and I think it was either the cup or the trophy, and that was against Nick Nurse's Brighton Bears, I think.
Wow, that's some long history you've got, and just speaking to you before the game, you've had that front row seat because of your dad coaching the teams in this league. I think it's a level of experience you can't really teach.
I think the ultimate moment, that very season, beating Chester Jets, which is now Cheshire Phoenix in the final, very close game, 78-75. But we're talking about a franchise with so much history. 3 times they've won the quadruple. In 2005, 6, 11, 12, and 14, 15. I don't think it gets any bigger in terms of history. We know, London are making their history right now. Leicester obviously have been one of the more dominant teams, but nobody comes even closer to the Newcastle Eagles when you talk about dominance in the British Basketball League.
They were always the guys that you had to beat in the finals. Always the guys that you were always looking to knock off. And again, it was the culture at the time with Coach Fab Planoy. He demanded brilliance every single season, regardless of what roster he had.
Well, Newcastle now going into a 1-3-1 zone, putting Taj Green at the top. And it's very interesting that Green being that power forward, playing that position at.
It is indeed. And guy at the moment having his way is Trajan Jacob. 12 points personal now for him. He's been on a tear since being introduced into this game.
I like what Jacob did there, avoiding the charge and going for the Euro step. And Austin Jr., well, and I'm going to ask you that one. It looked like he did push off, but they're going to call the blocking foul against Raffle Thomas Edwards.
That's a tough one that I would not want to have to call. It could have went either way. I call those 50-50 ones. I think Thomas Edwards' feet were still moving. But here's the play before that. Just the energy of Taj Green just outworking everyone else around him. And that's why he's a standout. 13 points, 6 rebounds already for Taj Green.
Larry Austin Jr. will be going to the free throw line. Newcastle trailing by 3 points, but you mentioned a name there, Fabulous Flanoy. To the British Basketball League fans watching, he was a man who came to this club, I think after playing for the Sheffield Sharks as a player coach, and it was after the 2003-04 season he transformed this team into a dynasty in the British Basketball League. Now, many may not remember as well, but joined his former coach Nick Nurse at the Toronto Raptors and is now an assistant for the Philadelphia 76ers in the NBA.
It's remarkable, how players, coaches, they've got the connection with the British Basketball League, and you see them now on the global scale winning world championships in the NBA.
Well, another coach in the NBA, an assistant coach, John Bryant with the Chicago Bulls, also played for the Newcastle Eagles. That was in the 05-06 season. So again, you mentioned deep roots and connections. And there you can see Brad Green all of a sudden going to work, and the baby Tim Duncan of the British Basketball League. Well, that's a Brad Green that we saw in the opening game against the Plymouth City Patriots.
That's really good patience there from Brad Green. If you look at him, the whole 23 seconds of that shot clock, or whatever it was, he was working for positioning, and credit to his team for feeding him the ball inside.
Well, nice execution there between Austin Jr. and Delpesh. Eagles come up with a steal now. We got numbers here. Well, ladies and gentlemen, wow, I thought he was going to go for a long pass there. That's going to be another turnover. And there you can see Green telling him, man, throw the ball up. I will catch it midair. You know he's going to do it.
I see you, Josh. You were playing the point guard role there. You're right. That would have been the right decision. A lot easier for us to say sitting here in an air-conditioned room, but it was the hands there, the active hands of the defense there, which then flicked that off, because we're looking at another highlight there from Taj Green if that had not been deflected.
I mean, if I'm Taj Green, I'm going to be disappointed, because, one thing you have to pay homage to when you have a power forward or a center, whichever position he's going to play, a big man who gets out of transition quickly, because he's only got one thing on his mind: lob the ball up, I'm going to connect with it.
And he's so good at it as well, isn't he? And that's why as well, you give him the benefit of the doubt. You throw that up there and let him do the rest.
Well, McGill coming off the ball screen, defending. Tie game here, 5 seconds left. Samuels has to force up a Hail Mary three-pointer. It's a very interesting decision there, but one thing you got to appreciate about Larry Austin Jr. might be a point guard, but he will compete for every single rebounds on both ends of the floor.
Yeah, a bit of a stagnant offense there for the Bristol Flyers. You can see what they were trying to do. They're trying to feed the ball back inside to Brad Green, but on that occasion, excellent front in there from Delpesh, which disrupted the offense, and Corey Samuels has to throw up a Hail Mary there, which doesn't connect.
Well, 1:51 to go here in the first half. These two teams locked in at 38 apiece. Eagles looking to retake the lead again. Austin Jr. in the backcourt. So playing with Whitfield and Ricky McGill. Nobody going in for an offensive rebound, but it doesn't matter there as Larry Austin sinking the mid-range shot. That's what he's been very good at in the last few seasons.
He's been excellent, and both ends of the floor, you're going to get energy from him. And he's a winner. Remember, he's won silverware in this league, and he's going to want to win more.
Well, trying to respond and just getting the shooter's role. That's much better. Both teams doing a good job of dissecting the defense down and finding those penetrations. All locked in a piece here. Just over 1 minute to go. On Saturday, Manchester Giants will be taking on the London Lions. Well, Taj Green goes for another three-point. This one's way off the mark. Trying to find Graham Bell in transition, but turns it over. Bit of a hasty decision there from the Flyers.
Yeah, it's a tough pass. The bounce pass there to get enough power on it for it to be able to get through.
I think they're going to call an offensive foul against Larry Austin Jr. I think if we do see that one in slow motion, that's good. Let's have a look here. Does Larry Austin Jr. make contact? And that's the right call. Yep.
Yeah. Good call there from the refs. And Graham Bell, after being out a whole year for injury, gets a forearm to his face to welcome him back on the court.
That was so interesting, that debut season for the Plymouth City Patriots back in 2021-22. His addition to the team just really gave them that solid power forward role. I mean, 15.7 rebounds. I mean, he was definitely my team of the year for sure.
No, he was excellent. And the thing I liked about him as well, the numbers are very impressive, but he was the guy stepping up in the fourth quarter, making the big plays.
Well, getting offensive boarding, going for a three-pointer, and speak of the superstar. Well, Graham Bell making it count for downtown. And now the Eagles can get the very last shot here. Well, Lamb, what do you think we got here? Pick and roll, pick and pop, you name it.
Well, they could go either way. Look at what they've got on court at the moment. You see they're spreading the floor, and Ricky Miguel's going to make something happen.
Well, going to Whitfield, 3 is up, and he gets it. And again, we're going in all locked up, but we got a few seconds now. Flyers looking to get something. Puts up a Hail Mary three-pointer, and that is the end of the first half. These two teams locked in at 43 apiece here at the British Basketball League matchup between the Newcastle Eagles and the Bristol Flyers. We'll be back momentarily, ladies and gentlemen.
You put the work in, everyone knows you deserve it. They must be blind like curtains, certain anything you got, you've earned it. Sky's the limit, just reachable. Your step height is achievable. Can't stop me, I'm unbeatable, I'm unbeatable, I'm unbeatable.
Every time they wanna clash, I am unbeatable. Chances running out of stop, and we're running out of clock. I feel what's gonna stop. I am unbeatable, I am unbeatable. Clock's turn, watch and learn. How many years been working for my flying over. Stay on your feet, never been put on a poster. You're a step like roller coaster. This one right here for the coast. I am unbeatable. I am unbeatable, yeah.
Let's take this thing higher, higher than you ever been. Stand tall like Everest. I mean higher. You ain't gotta settle in. Go places they never been. We go higher, no stop. Take it to the top, even when a boat.
Welcome back, British Basketball League fans here. But this matchup at halftime between the Bristol Flyers and the Newcastle Eagles, we're going to take a look at the stats from the first half of this magnificent game. Well, and I got to tell you so far, I mean, not a lot to separate these two teams. They are locked in at 43 apiece, but you know, the rebound says a big story here for the Newcastle Eagles. 27-16 against the Bristol Flyers.
Well, the battle of the boards definitely going in the favor of the Newcastle Eagles, but it doesn't give them much daylight. We're here at 43 apiece here. Bristol Flyers did a really good job of knocking down that three ball, but I think it comes off Brad Green. He's generating so much attention from the defense. His teammates are open, and they currently hit 7 3-pointers in the first half.
The turnovers, excuse me, not a lot to concern. I mean, only 7 and 6, but in the case of Newcastle Eagles, a 12-point lead. Those 7 turnovers, that is more or less what's been the demise of their great start to this game.
Yeah, turnovers have certainly been a factor there, but you've got to look at some of the points that have been left out there on the floor, and free throws. 5 missed free throws there for the Newcastle Eagles. Had they converted them, of course they'd find themselves with a nice 5-point lead.
Well, momentarily now, we're going to look at the tail of the first half between these two teams. It's been a spectacular game, but let's now look at the best moments of what happened. But, you know, Anne, I got to tell you, that was the opening play, and you kind of thought that it was going to be a long night for the Eagles, but it took a bit of time here for the Bristol Flyers to get into this one.
Yeah, it did, and it was the Newcastle Eagles that looked more comfortable early. It looked like this was their home court, and Flyers did a really good job there of being able to respond. And this is an early bucket, you know, a very rare occasion we saw that Brad Green didn't get a lot of easy looks in the first half.
Well, again, it's been a good start so far for Del Pesh coming back in this game as Whitfield unable to get the three-pointer. But again, you got to look at Taj Green, relentless, undeniably going after every single offensive rebound here for the Eagles.
He's been an absolute problem. 13.6 rebounds, and he's 14 on a plus-minus as well in an even game. So Taj Green has been the difference maker. And we called it before the game, Green versus Green. Taj Green is currently in pole position.
Well, that was the mid-range shot by the Flyers, but going back to the previous play, one of the key things about having Larry Austin Jr. in your team, this man can definitely push the tempo of any backcourt here in the British Basketball League.
Yeah, he's given them a great spark off the bench, and you know, special mention here to Jordan Johnson, who I think is doing an excellent job of leading the offense and getting his teammates good looks.
Well, again, you can see good passing coming from the Flyers, a better percentage coming from the perimeter, shooting 38% from downtown. But, you know, the Flyers collectively as a team, I mean, there is the no-look time. I mean, those two were doing it at the Plymouth City, at the former Plymouth Raiders. But, you know, good to see their connection doing very well here for the Eagles.
Yeah, and, you know, it's these bits of chemistry that you can sort of mold and then implement on other teams.
Well, Roa Graham Bell hitting 2 3-pointers so far in the first half, but Johnson going on the baseline. You know, one thing I like about this player, he does a phenomenal job of moving without the ball in his hands.
He does, and that's another player who's caused devastation there. Trajan Jacob, big fan of him. Really liked what he did for the Flyers here 2 seasons ago.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, momentarily we're going to show you a VT on Kieran Sandy of the London Lions before we come back for the second half.
I think I was 14 when I first watched Lions play. So it was very surreal for me, just being back home, playing, you know, in front of my mum. Also just playing for the first club that I ever watched at the Copper Box. My name is Kieran Sandy and I play for the London Lions. I would wake up before school, go and shoot, just do drills that I found on YouTube. For me, I saw a huge growth over the summer just doing that. And by the time I got to under 16s, I started getting national recognition. I made the Southeast team, the regional team. Then the following year, I got scouted to go out and play in America, and I took that opportunity. But yeah, it was amazing to just how it all just came back around to being at home and playing for the Lions. We were here today promoting free sessions for the local community to come and play basketball here on this court.
The court's been open for a while. I don't know if any of you have played on it before or seen it before, but we had it a couple of years ago, designed by Yinka and Ori. So we're essentially relaunching it with the collaboration with you guys.
I definitely think that community projects like this are really important for the youth. We can't be naive to what's happening in communities.
So it's all one motion. It starts from the bottom, goes all the way up.
A lot of kids look up to us, and sometimes you don't even know. You know, you inspire people that you don't even think are watching. The lessons that you learn from young go on as you're an adult, and it's the same thing, essentially. You know, like, you go through the same thing as you get older, but you just have more knowledge, you know, more education. I grew up in North London. It was just me and my mum, so she had to work a lot just to provide for us. She sort of implemented that hard work, you know, being on time, the discipline. That helped me a lot to discover who I am through those routines. I'm really grateful to her for that, and she instilled the amount of work that you need to put in to do anything to be great. I give all the credit to her, and I'm just glad that, you know, she's here to see the results of all of her hard work, and hopefully, you know, I make her proud every day that I step on the court.
Back to Wheeler. And he gets caught on the three and hits it. Patrick Whelan with a chance for a 4-point play.
A big and one. And there he goes, looks at his hand, gets into his shot.
Late in the shot clock here. Caledonia need to get it away. Whelan in the corner. That's the guy you can't lose late in the shot clock.
You cannot leave him, you're right.
Taylor, nice spin in the key to the basket for the finger roll. Grantham slowing it down and then attacking through the contact and one. Last few seconds, Taylor fires up the three, and what life he's given London off the bench here in the first quarter. Here's Morgan, on to Sharma with a big one-handed throwdown. There's nowhere in there for Ali Hodgic, and he throws it away. London in the open court again. And that will count. Foul is called. Well, that's a tough shot. Mid-range with a hand in your face. Here's DeVos. Trick up top, strings the three. And he's starting to find a bit of rhythm after a slow start to his game. He's up to 9.
And that's the good answer we were speaking about.
Cavosa replies with 3 of his own. Lobbed up to Sharma, who jams it in.
Wow. Love that. We were waiting for it.
Lobs it up to Moore, who jams it in. Sharma on the receiving end for once. Nice behind the back and the two-handed throwdown. Good ball movement. Sandy in the corner. He knocks down a triple.
You asked for a three-point shot, and there it is. Yeah.
It's only their 6th make of the game. The champions are back in town, and they have sent out a message to the rest of the league. An absolutely dominant display from the London Lions, 93-65.
Everyone knows you deserve it. They must be blind like curtains, certain. Anything you got, you've earned it. Sky's the limit, reachable. Your step heights achievable. Can't stop me, I'm unbeatable. I'm unbeatable. I'm unbeatable.
Every time they wanna clash, I am unbeatable. Chances running out of stop, and we're running out of clock. I fail once they stop. I am unbeatable. I am unbeatable. Clock's turn, watch you learn. How many years been working for my stop flying over. Stay on your feet, never been put on a poster. You're a step like roller coaster. This one right here for the poster.
Let's take this thing higher, higher than you ever been. Stand tall like Everest. I mean higher. You ain't gotta settle in. Go places they never been. We go higher, non-stop. Take it to the top, even when the ball drops. My man.
We are basketball.
Team is everything.
We fight till the final moment.
Slow in the corner for the win! Can you believe it?
These are new beginnings. Time to raise the standard.
Be better than the best.
McKenzie. Oh, beautiful.
10 teams, 1 goal.
Become the champion.
You know, and playoff champions. Let's see this in 2 decades.
A new era, a fresh start, a total reset. We are basketball.
We are basketball.
We are basketball.
We are British basketball.
Lewis throwing it. Oh! And there's our posterizer slapping his head top again. Legion Robertin putting a body.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and say that is top 10, maybe number 1.
Welcome back, British Basketball League fans, here to this matchup between the Bristol Flyers, our hosts, and the visitors, the Newcastle Eagles. Well, hi everybody, I'm your commentator Josh Bennett alongside Ann Rowe, 6-time trophy winner here in the British Basketball League. And Ann, I tell you what, we might have the game of the week at the moment.
Well, it's so far a good sample of that first 20 minutes of play. Really high intensity, back and forth. Both teams snatching the momentum of this game as well. I'm still none the wiser of the outcome of this second half.
Well, of course, this team having to bounce back. They were trailing by 12 points early in the first quarter, but defensively forcing Newcastle Eagles, choking them into intense pressure, but converting those turnovers into transition points has been a key factor here for the Flyers' end.
Yeah, and they weren't hitting shots from beyond the perimeter in the earlier stages of this game, and quite simply, they started making shots in the second quarter, which made things a lot more difficult for the Newcastle Eagles to contain. They've done a really good job of collapsing and mitigating Brad Green inside, but what that has allowed is more freedom and open shots for the Newcastle Eagles.
You mentioned at the beginning of the game, when I asked you, he was struggling very early on, but he doesn't necessarily need to be an impact player from his scoring to really provide for this Bristol team. And it may be a matter of time before he gets his mojo going in the second half.
That's exactly it, Josh. You don't have to always directly impact the game. Sometimes you can do positive things by indirectly doing the right things. And you can see as well Brad Green working incredibly hard inside to get positioning. As a former big man, I can tell you it's extremely exhausting to do that too with very little reward. But just know that he's played his part in his team level pegging here with the Newcastle Eagles.
Flyers getting the first possession of the second half. Remember, they won their opening game at home against their Southwest rivals, the Plymouth City Patriots, while Newcastle Eagles winning their opening game against Sheffield Sharks at home. Both teams would love to go 2-0 here, rivaling with the London Lions. Green backing down now, making the post move, can't get it. Gets zone rebound, the big man all of a sudden turning it up.
That's really good initial defense there from Del Pesh, but Brad Green, excellent persistence and strength there to stay with that play, and he gets the put-back finish.
Well, many Leicester Riders fans will be very disappointed to hear me say this, but he reminds me of the infamous Billy Singleton, who played many great years in this league. Well, the Bristol Flyers almost coming up with a steal, but I think there's going to be a shot clock situation, I believe. This is interesting. Now, did the Flyers have full possession when they came up with it? So I think that's what the referee is just saying, I believe. So that is going to be 19 seconds on the shot clock as opposed to 4, which Newcastle would have had left. But I tell you, officiating is a tough job, isn't it?
It is indeed. And ball's going to stay here with the Newcastle Eagles.
Well, McGill here in the backcourt. Goes in with a one-legged footed jump shot, just rattles its way in and out. Now the Flyers looking to extend it. 2-point lead to the home side. Remember, it took 5 seasons for them to finally defeat the Newcastle Eagles. That came after 13 attempts. It's going to be very tough. 4 years in the British Basketball League and not defeating the mighty Newcastle Eagles. But good anticipation on defense by Whitfield. A turnover. Well, and that looked like it came off of Whitfield.
Yeah, I think Whitfield deflected it, and referee thought it then deflected off the Bristol Flyers. Wow. Good energy on the defensive end, and Newcastle Eagles get the ball back.
Well, the home crowd not impressed with that decision, but nonetheless, good defense by the Eagles. Johnson coming off the ball screen now. Double crossover, hangs up in the air and taking on Brad Green, but good defense by the big man. The early moments of this third quarter are going to dictate how this game will play out, of course. Very costly turnover there by the Bristol Flyers. Maybe a bit of anxiety in their play early on.
Yeah, it was a odd thing to do, to pick up your dribble there with high pressure. Not great space in there from the Flyers. You want guys to keep moving, move towards the basketball. But that stagnation that caused, helped the turnover pursue.
Johnson goes for a deep three-pointer, nails that one right in the face of Samuels. And again, Bristol Flyers turnovers costing them dearly here. 1-point lead to the Eagles. Another turnover. Well, McGill comes up with a loose ball. Eagles have numbers. Johnson, quick three in transition. And again, was that the right decision to make there?
It wasn't, no, and he's not made too many errors in this game. I think Jordan Johnson's having a great game, but on that occasion, Way too quick.
Green had the isolation, but unable to count that one. Eagles lead it by 1 point. Johnson down the middle. Trying to make a tough pass into Delpeche. Kicks out to Ricky McGill. He'll try another three-pointer. And again, Ricky McGill has struggled from the perimeter so far. Well, the Eagles so far in this game have only made 5 three-point field goals. It's now the Flyers respond. Well, Bristol Flyers making their 5th three-pointer. They're now 5 for 17. Well, excuse me, no, they are 8 for 19 from the perimeter tonight, and
it's that man, Tevin Ollison, for his 2nd three-pointer of the season to take him to 8 points personal.
2-point lead to the Flyers. Whitfield, who tries a three-pointer, had it on target, but unable to capitalize. But again, another offensive rebound for the Newcastle Eagles. Well, 2 seasons ago, they missed out on the playoffs, and they had it. Well, an offensive foul is going to be called against Delpeche on the screen, and I'm going to let you assess that one as our analyst.
Wow, it's one of those ones. I didn't see it in live time. Oh, not a lot in it for me. I don't think it was a moving. I think the contact was there. He was still. Tough call. Tough call on Delpeche.
He's tried to fake the ball screen from the left and jump over to the right, but I don't necessarily think by leaning forward there that should justify a moving screen. But nonetheless, the Flyers will get it back. Lead it by 2.
3rd foul on Delpeche as well. So watch, see if that plays a factor.
Well, good hands coming from Will Neighbor. Green hasn't made the use of the isolation, but a great defense by Will Neighbor, initiating the charge against Brad Green, trying to say to the official that, you know, he flopped there, but I don't know. I mean, that looked like good defense to me.
Oh, I don't like it. I hate the call.
Oh, you don't like that one?
I don't like it. No, I don't think there's a lot of contact there, and I think Will Neighbor's looking for the flop. And the referee is right there. I don't like it.
Oh, Will Neighbor again, doing what he does best, of course, making himself a nightmare on defense. Eagles have a chance to tie this one up, but they could take the lead here. Whitfield goes for another three-pointer, puts this one up, and again, no good, but you know, the three-point selection, I mean, that's not a bad shot to say the least, but they're now 5 for 21 from the perimeter tonight. Raffle Thomas Edwards trying to go down the middle. Good help side defense by Whitfield. And again, Taj Green keeping Brad Green off the second chance points. Can the Eagles now get a contact? Blocking foul, gets it to drop. And Johnson's going to go to the free throw line to make this potentially a three-point play for the Eagles.
Wow, and there's the jet rockets in Jordan Johnson's legs. Just attacks the rim before the defense has chance to set up properly. That's an incredible finish.
Well, we just saw Des Reels on the baseline trying to get that content, so that could be on his social media platform, but this is Chemistry 101 with Jordan Johnson. Dissection of the Bristol Flyers defense. Tell you what, get your assessments ready. You like how, again, I said this in the first half, this man shows no fear against any defense here in the British Basketball League. Well, 5:55 to go here in the third quarter can give the Eagles a slender 1-point lead as he makes the free throw. Eagles so far 8 for 13 from the charity stripe. Well, the neutral fan, of course, will love to see this game go right down to the wire. And it has been neck and neck. The biggest lead of the game has been a 12-point lead to the Eagles. Flyers, of course, using the home court advantage. Now, Green doesn't take many three-pointers. Another offensive board here. Trying to go for the putback, and another offensive board in second time. Oh, and Newcastle had their last donut, but nobody called Bucks out.
Goodness me, great work there from Ollison. There's an offensive foul out on the upper end of the floor.
Well, the question I'm going to ask you on the replay, was he inside the restricted zone? Because he is the primary defender. And if he is within that area, that should be that should be a foul against him, but I wonder if he did go with his elbows when he tried to go into that little Euro step, but Flyers will get the ball back.
Good play there, and Trajan Lucas was someone who didn't feature in last week's game due to injury. And he's chipping away here and doing little things to contribute for his team.
Goes to the pump fake now. And that goes into the VIP section. But, you know, we have seen this time and time where, you know, Bristol can extend on their momentum, but they just have a possession with a costly turnover. You can see the confidence goes down in this team.
Yeah, and that's customary of this time of year. You know, again, it's so early in the season. Team chemistry isn't formed. Players don't really understand each other on an individual and collective basis. 11 turnovers now for the Bristol Flyers, which, as you say, Josh, it's really affecting their rhythm.
Well, find a neighbor wide open the corner. 3 is up and again. I'm very interested to know, Newcastle Eagles missing a lot of three-pointers, but it's very tough to come to this arena and shoot on these rims. But another offensive ball for the Flyers. Trying to go for another three-pointer. Contested, no good. Green with the rebound. Eagles looking to extend this one. Trailing by 1 so far with just over 4:15 to go so far here in the third quarter. Well, double team's coming. Somebody's going to be wide open. And that's going to go out of bounds. But ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go away for a break, and we'll be back momentarily.
You put the work in, everyone knows you deserve it. There must be blind like curtains, certain. Anything you got, you've earned it. Sky's the limit, just reachable. Your step height is achievable. Can't stop me, I'm unbeatable. I'm unbeatable.
I am unbeatable. Every time they wanna clash, I am unbeatable. Chances running out of stop, and we're running out of clock. I fail once gonna stop. I am unbeatable. I am unbeatable. Clock's turn, watch and learn. How many years been working for my flying over. Stay on your feet, never been put on a poster. You're a step like roller coaster. This one right here for the poster. I am unbeatable. I am unbeatable, yeah.
Let's take this thing higher, higher than you ever been. Stand tall like Everest. I mean higher. You ain't gotta settle in. Go places they never been. We go higher, non-stop. Take it to the top, even when a ball.
Welcome back, British Basketball League fans here. At the moment, Newcastle Eagles locked in against the Bristol Flyers. And this has been an exciting game between two teams with big aspirations this season.
That's exactly it, Josh. You can see as well the intensity. Both teams, of course, everyone wants to win, but you can see that another level of intensity, which is causing the opposition to make errors as well. This isn't a free-flowing, beautiful basketball game, but what it is very entertaining and it's very competitive.
Well, can the Flyers extend the 1-point lead? Going through 2 pump fakes on the mid-range and the follow-up, and again, that's why you go for second chances. Bristol just showing a bit of desire here against the Eagles defense.
Trajan Lucas coming across there with a putback finish, and it's been the battle of the boards which has been in the favor of the Newcastle Eagles, but on that occasion, Flyers benefiting.
Well, turning it over now. Graham Bell going in and throwing it down with no regard for the transition defense of the Newcastle Eagles. And welcome back to the British Basketball League, Graham Bell. And look what it means to that man.
Graham Bell looking pretty healthy to me. Fast break, takeoff, and a powerful dunk finish. And he looks like he hasn't missed a beat.
Well, again, the anxiety, you know what it's like, and recovering from a tough injury and going through that surgery, the hours of preparation, every squat, every bit of time in the weight room, but the patience. And you can see right now showing little emotion, but deep down he is loving this moment, and what a revelation he can be. He's only on a short-term contract, but against his former team that he was unable to suit up for, picking up that catastrophic injury in the preseason.
Inside, his adrenaline will be from head to toe. He hasn't played basketball in over a year, but he's challenging that. He's channeling that energy. And I remember when I came back from my first knee surgery, I was with Plymouth Raiders at the time. I transferred over to Leicester Riders, hadn't played in 6 months, and you know, it was like muscle memory. The adrenaline takes you there. I think it was a nice 21 and 12 performance from myself, so it was back to business as usual, but you never quite know what you're going to get when you come back, just because there's so much that's going on in the psyche and the excitement of your return.
Now, talking about your days playing when you were, you had featured for the former Plymouth Raiders, and also, the biggest time of your career, 6 times winning trophies with the Leicester Riders. But, your first ever trophy, I believe, was against the Newcastle Eagles in 2013. Am I correct?
That's it. And Newcastle Eagles were the team that you had to knock off the top spot to win anything. And the season before that, I'd lost to Newcastle Eagles in the British Basketball Cup final. And I'd lost came runner-up to Newcastle in leagues, years before as well. So Newcastle were always the benchmark. They were always the person that you had to get off to win.
Well, again, the Eagles struggling immensely from the perimeter. Well, something this team does need to evolve and adapt to. If they're not going to hit the three-point shots, they have to find ways to score down the crunch of game times.
Got a rush shot there, and Trajan Lucas didn't need to put that one up.
Eagles trying to go to dribble handoff here with a pick and roll. Ward Hibbert checking into the game for the first time here in the second half. Another three-pointer, again, no good here for the Eagles. 5 for 24 from the perimeter this evening.
Yeah, both teams look a little tentative here, not trusting each other. Very quick, erratic shots.
Well, again, it's going to be big for the, regardless who wins this game, but Bristol, especially if they win this game, they go into the game of the week next week on Sky against London Lions. Both teams would be 2-0 at that point. As Graham Bell for another three-pointer. And again, I'll say it, welcome back to the British Basketball League. Roel Graham, the bells are ringing from the three-point line.
Goodness me, go ahead and extend that contract right now, because Roel Graham Bell looks like he is back to top form.
Well, again, you made a good point there, at the short-term contract. Again, that could turn around to long-term the way he's been playing in this game, but I'd like to see that from Larry Austin Jr. That's what I'm talking about there. Settling for a lot of perimeter shots, but they haven't really been able to manipulate anything inside the paint of the Bristol Flyers.
No, and that's good veteran play there from Larry Austin Jr. It's when your team aren't making shots, how can I get a high percentage shot, or at least get an opportunity to shoot some free throws? And that's his way, is his ability to be able to attack relentlessly and get the defense to commit the foul.
Yeah, when you talk about fan favorites here, I mean, Larry Austin Jr., no doubt this man has been, an iconic name here. The biggest point of his career was winning the British Basketball League trophy against the London Lions in 2001. But, we are so used to seeing him. He has played professional basketball in Turkey, having played against some of the giants of Anadolu Efes, Fenerbahce, Galatasaray, EuroLeague and Basketball Champions League teams, but also a brief time playing in Portugal. It's so interesting to see him play for the Newcastle Eagles.
Yeah, and it was Coach Ben Thomas, the Cheshire Phoenix, that brought him to the UK, and obviously Coach Mark Stuttle liked what he saw.
Well, again, turning down the temperature in the arena with that air ball, but it's still a 6-point lead here to the Bristol Flyers, and a bit of chance here for the Newcastle Eagles to chip into the deficit. 1:50 to go here in the third quarter.
Well, Leslie Smith is not someone who's been able to settle into this game. Just his second field goal, he's 0 for 2, and you saw him on the bike there on the sideline as well, so makes me think that maybe he's carrying an injury as well.
Flyers trying to be aggressive here, trying to make it tough for the Eagles on the perimeter shooting, almost turning it over. They got to get something going. McGill bumping now, bit of contact, puts up a circus shot, can't get it. But gets his own rebound, getting a fresh chance at this one. And that's something we saw a lot from the Eagles in the first half, getting those offensive rebounds.
Wow, almost got it to go as well, but that's the 33rd rebound for the Eagles now.
Another turnover now. Can the Flyers punish them? Well, Bristol have been terrific so far here in the third quarter. Biggest lead they've had so far in this game. They haven't had a double-digit lead, but something they're going to look to push, potentially before the fourth and final quarter. Time winding down now. Down the middle. Sparring shot clock, can't get it. McGill trying to chase this one, but that's going to be something Mark Stewart is going to have to address his team on, preventing Bristol from getting loose balls and second chances. I wonder if Mark Studel's saying, did the ball touch the rim, I believe, but...
Well, the shot clock reset to 24 instead of 14.
That's right, yep.
So the offensive rebound should have reset to 14.
Trying to go all the way now. David just getting a hand to it. Ward Hibbert able to secure the rebound. It's going to be 6 seconds difference between game and shot clock. Eagles potentially could cut this down to a one-possession game if they go for a three-pointer, but three-pointers having a struggle here this night for the Eagles. Time winding down here on the shot clock. McGill calling the screen. Down the middle, hangs in the air, goes in with a George Gervin layup, but can't get it. Flyers have a bit of time now. Split of defense going all the way and just punishing with a coast-to-coast move. And Mark Studel is going to be infuriated with his team's transition defense. But ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back for the fourth quarter momentarily.
In the corner for the win!
I put the work in, you put the work in, everyone knows you deserve it. They must be blind like curtains, certain. Anything you got, you've earned it. Sky's the limit, lost the heights achievable. Can't stop me, I'm unbeatable, I'm unbeatable, I'm unbeatable.
Every time they wanna clash, I am unbeatable. Chances running out of start, and we're running out of clock. I fail once they start. I am unbeatable. I am unbeatable. Clock's turn, watch and learn. How many years been working for my stay on your feet, never been put on a poster. You're a step like roller coaster. This one right here for the culture.
Let's take this thing higher, higher than you ever been. Stand tall like Everest. I mean higher. You ain't gotta settle in. Go places they never been. We go higher, non-stop. Take it to the top, even when the ball drops. My man.
We are basketball.
Team is everything.
We fight till the final moment.
In the corner for the win! Can you believe it?
These are new beginnings. Time to raise the standard.
Be better than the best.
McKenzie. Oh, beautiful.
10 teams, 1 goal.
Become the champion.
You know, and it's playoff champions. Let's see this in 2 decades. We are basketball.
We are basketball.
We are basketball.
We are British basketball.
Welcome back, British Basketball League fans, here to this matchup between the Bristol Flyers and the Newcastle Eagles. But, ladies and gentlemen, the other game going on currently here in the British Basketball League is between the Leicester Riders and the Plymouth City Patriots. And I got to tell you, I think I've just heard a rumor that Plymouth City Patriots may be leading by 5 points.
Yeah, the rumors are true. It's been a really good start for the traveling team, who the travel was very interrupted, let's just say, today. They turned up to the arena late and not affected them so far.
Well, that game did tip off a little bit later, as you mentioned, arriving to the arena late. So after this game, you probably will be able to catch the second half of that game, but you won't want to miss this one. But, you know, Bristol, and what can we say has been the big difference between these two teams? Because there's not a lot to separate them in terms of stats, but I'd say, I mean, is it the three-point shooting? What is it?
I mean, that's a clear indicator for me. You know, you both shot the same amount of three-pointers, 25, but it's Bristol have made 9 and Newcastle Eagles have made 5. And you know, in an 8-point game, that's the difference.
Well, Johnson going straight to the bucket again. And that's what they needed, trying to dissect the defense down. Remember last season, the Bristol Flyers won the head-to-head 2 out of the 3 games against the Eagles. But it took them 5 seasons to actually beat Newcastle in the British Basketball League since joining in 2014. So, wow, that's very tough to say. 5 seconds here on the shot clock. Have to go for a Hail Mary three-pointer, can't get it. Another offensive ball, but a foul is going to be committed against Larry Austin Jr. And that's a disappointing part, because you identify Larry Austin Jr. sees the missed three-point attempt, wants to get out, you know, very quickly, but it's his man if he gets the box out.
Wow, it's a frustrating play. If you're at home watching as a Newcastle Eagles fan, you know, your team gets Bristol to take a difficult, deep, contested shot, but it's the energy again. The Bristol Flyers are able to come up with the offensive board.
Well, Flyers leading by 6 points. They had the momentum. 9 three-point field goals made. Can they make it 10? But an offensive rebound is good. And when you finish your donuts, I bet you say box out.
Well, that's regardless of who's saying it, you got to do it. Actions speak louder than words.
Johnson pulling off in the mid-range now. Back-to-back field goals for him. Keep the Eagles at bay. You know, one thing the Eagles don't want to happen here on the road is let this become a double-digit deficit.
No, especially in the latter part of this quarter. And, you know, Jordan Johnson will be a player that you'll look to propel his team up, cut the deficit.
Oh, count it, gets the at one, and he is just having a field day right now. Tevin Ollison going wherever he wants on the basketball floor. I mean, look at this. Going in with a simple Bristolian ENBL Euro step, if you like, and just counting the at one.
Well, the great thing about Ollison as well, he's diversified his offerings. You know, we known last year he can shoot the ball. He's a known shooter. You have to locate him, but it's plays like that where he's adding value in other areas. 12 points personal for him, and he's been a difference maker both ends of the floor.
Well, Tevin Ollison started at Cleveland State Community College before going to University of Cumberland's in the NAIA. Had his last season playing for Youngstown State University, averaging 12 points in 34 games. But, you know, they absolutely love him here in the British Basketball League. Last season, 10 points per game in his rookie year of pro basketball. Now Taj Green finding Josh Ward-Hibbert. That's a much better play from the Eagles. 7-point deficit.
That's great movement without the basketball there from Josh Ward-Hibbert to maneuver there across the baseline. Nice reverse finish.
Josh Ward-Hibbert, as we mentioned, playing with some of the titans of the British Basketball League. Leicester Riders, London Lions, but he'll make that a third titan. Of course, he only plays for the big teams, I guess, if you want to say respect to other clubs. Look, I think we were in for the highlight right there.
Oh, I love the ambition of Johnson, but didn't quite have the lift.
Well, Taj Green putting on the floor and drawing the foul against Roel Graham-Bell. This is good momentum now for the Eagles, getting the stop on defense, but as we mentioned, their goal in the next few minutes, prevent this from becoming a double-digit deficit. Green going pick and roll now with Johnson. Johnson calling for another one. Again, doesn't use it. Spin the defense going up, and another and one here for Johnson. Well, JJ put it on that Superman caper in the form of the Jody, and he'll go to the charity stripe. Again, showing no fear again.
Wow, it's a tough finish, and he's leading from example. As you say, they need a hero, and Jordan Johnson is stepping up. 18 points personal for him, 5 rebounds, 4 assists.
Again, you look at this, we talk about the depth in the Newcastle Eagles, and this is why I think it's always going to be a tough game on the road here against a very good team in the Bristol Flyers. But having that depth in the backcourt, Johnson, McGill, you know, not to mention, as well as Austin Jr., that's what you need when you go into the European Northern Basketball League, because, you know, looking at the teams they're going to play against, respect, you know, Bristol Flyers will also be in this league, but they're going to have to play against CSO Voluntari, a team that you know that beat Leicester Riders in the Basketball Champions League qualifiers, but also BC Cholet in Lithuania, Liege Basket, and Stelmed Zielona Góra in Poland. That's what you're going to need, this kind of backcourt, if you're going to compete in European basketball.
Well, and that's why it's so important to get your repetitions in domestic play. You know, everyone's in a race at the moment to increase their team chemistry and gel sooner rather than later. As you say, Josh, you're going to come up against experienced European teams.
Well, Will Neighbor, of course, one of the best pick-and-pop three-point shooters in the league, but a bit of miscommunication right here. You can see a little bit slow to react on the help side. Again, when you go into the European Northern Basketball League, that's where teams are really going to annihilate you, because they are so quick, as we mentioned, in their tactics and able to identify mismatches.
No, 100% agree there. And I think what Will Neighbor does do well there is he, you know, commits the foul. It's not an easy layup. And he doesn't commit the foul too aggressively where it's an unsportsmanlike, you know, because that's the fine balance now that players are going to have to, you know, make that split decision with when they're late on instances like that.
And again, you know, as much as we can, you know, I can identify areas of weakness, but this is still a very new team that's been put together. You know, it will take time for them to gel, but at the moment they're trailing by 6 points with just over 7 minutes to go here in the fourth quarter. Neighbor hasn't made a three-pointer. Pump fakes. Finds Ward-Hibbert in the corner, wide open. Again, a good look, but another offensive board. Johnson's been on fire so far. Again, the threes just aren't dropping for the Eagles.
No, they're not. And the struggles continue from beyond the perimeter. Just 5 made three-pointers this evening.
Well, Flyers unable to make it an 8-point ball game. Foul is going to be called on the ground. But Jordan Johnson has been the key X factor so far for the Newcastle Eagles here in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, it's been an all-star performance from him. Even the intangible things, you can see him pushing the basketball, orchestrating the offense. He's been the difference maker so far, along with his teammate Green, who had such a devastating first half. He's been reduced to 0 points in this second half. The Newcastle Eagles are going to have to figure out a way to get Taj Green involved because he was such a pivotal.
Back out to Neighbor. Cross-court finds Taj Green. Green goes to three. It's up and a bunch to the three-pointer as the green light comes on for the Geordies.
Wow, that's a big bucket. First points of the second half. And it's a big one to reduce this deficit to 3.
Potential one-possession game now. Brad Green almost fumbling it. Eagles come up with it now. They got a 3-on-1 here. Austin Jr. goes all the way, showing no fear, going coast to coast against Raffle Thomas Edwards. Now it's a 1-point ball game.
In the open floor, you won't see too many better players than Larry Austin Jr. Strong finish.
Well, they need a good response here from the Flyers. Green getting a handoff. Larry Austin Jr. trying to be aggressive here on the defense. Kicking out now to go for another three-pointer. Three is up with a hand in his face. He has been unconscious so far here tonight. What a tray ball. That's a big-time shot by Trajan Jacob. But then you can see Taj Green with a rim rocker.
Wow, big play from Trajan Jacob, and then instantly followed up by Taj Green, who just scored his first points moments ago in the second half. Now he's got 5 quick ones.
Well, another foul has been committed, but no and one will be coming. Another 2 free throws coming up for the Flyers. And it looked like Bristol Flyers are going to fly away with this game here in the second half, but, you know, I can just picture Jeff Goldblum saying right now at some science lab table saying, Eagles find a way.
They do, indeed, and it'll be the battle of the wheels now. We've still got 5 minutes left to play. One-shot game. And Larry Austin Jr. gets a well-deserved break.
Well, again, a good substitution there by Mark Studel. Well, potentially now can extend this back to a 2-possession game, but again, free throws need to be imperative here in the fourth quarter. Again, the pressure just getting to him. That's attempt there. That's the first missed free throw of the night here for the Bristol Flyers. I mean, they have been fantastic so far from the charity stripe. Makes the second one now. 3-point ball game. Flyers just holding on. Now we're under 5 minutes here in the fourth quarter. One of these two teams will remain undefeated while the other one will pick up the first defeat. It's only been 2 games so far for these two. But another turnover. The overzealous possession here from Jordan Johnson, I believe.
Yeah, that time he was trying to be a little bit too over-aggressive there with creating. A good hands though from Bristol Flyers, who've been active and aggressive on the defensive end.
Well, another deep 3 is up, no good. Neighbor with a rebound. Disappointed there. They had Brad Green with a mismatch in the low block, but they didn't get the ball to him.
No. They missed him a few times this evening. It's been such a well-defended element of the game. Newcastle done a good job. You can tell they've been preparing for that all week.
Johnson gets fouled, but ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have a short little break as we will return momentarily.
Everyone knows you deserve it. They must be blind like curtains, certain. Anything you got, you've earned it. Sky's the limit, you're reachable. Your summer heights achievable. Can't stop me, I'm unbeatable. I'm unbeatable.
I am unbeatable. Every time they wanna clash, I am unbeatable. Chances running out of stop, and we're running out of clock. I fail once, then I stop. I am unbeatable. I am unbeatable. learn, watch and learn. How many years been working for my I'm flying over. Stay on your feet, never been put on a poster. You're a step like roller coaster. This one right here for the culture. I am unbeatable. I am unbeatable, yeah.
Let's take this thing higher, higher than you ever been. Stand tall like Everest. I mean higher. You ain't gotta settle in. Go places they never been. We go higher, non-stop. Take it to the top.
Welcome back, British Basketball League fans. Currently the free throw line here for 3 free shots as Jordan Johnson had a chance to tie this game up with 4:13 to go here in the fourth quarter. Again, pressure getting to him as well. Well, and I don't know how to say it anymore. You know it especially. Years of playing professional basketball here in the British Basketball League. You never want to look back on a game and think the outcome could have been different had you made all your free throws.
And that's the issue that they had. 11 for 17, so they've had some free throws that, again, have been left out there.
That's a crazy part about it. You think you make all those missed free throw attempts, you're in the lead in this game.
Yep.
It's easier said than done, of course, because, you know, when you're playing pro basketball, the adrenaline's going through you. Sometimes if you're playing on the road, it's tough, but I don't know how to say it any other way. You just got to make your free throws. They are free. Well, 1-point lead now to the Flyers. And an offensive foul is going to be called against Raffle Thomas Edwards. Good defense by Josh Ward-Hibbert.
And that's 2 energy guys going after it there. They'll be some of the more competitive guys you'll see this year, and you can see neither one of them giving up an inch, but it's Josh Ward-Hibbert that wins that battle because he gets the whistle.
You know, Josh Ward-Hibbert, it's so interesting when you analyze his game because, you know, in my mind, I think he does have a good three-point shot. You know, he doesn't take enough in my mind, but yeah, ultimately, as you said, he is a glue player. The only kind of similarities I can put him to, of course, is I'm talking about the Dennis Rodman that played for the Detroit Pistons Bad Boys before, of course, all the extra stuff that came in his career. But, you know, Chuck Daly had to make the decision to bring Vinnie Johnson out of the starting lineup and bring Dennis Rodman in, which led to their back-to-back championships, of course. And, you know, that is the kind of style you see from Josh Ward-Hibbert. Intangibles, glue player. That's how great he is for this team. Well, Johnson now can give them the lead. Trying to isolate here. Almost turning it over. Neighbor comes up with it. Has to put up a Hail Mary three-pointer. Almost got it again, but look who it is. Josh Ward-Hibbert with the big offensive board. And those are the comparisons I'm talking about. Johnson down the lane. Can't get the layup. Preventing Newcastle from taking the lead.
Wow, could have worked out more perfect there. Josh Ward-Hibbert, incredible offensive rebound there. And then the pass while on his back. But Jordan Johnson just wasn't able to finish that play.
Well, could that be the heartbreaker defining moment in this game? But can the Flyers? Time winding down now. Pulls off in the mid-range, puts it up, can't get it. Ward-Hibbert, another big rebound. Composure's what the Eagles need. We're under 3 minutes. Trailing by 1 point. McGill trying to go to Tajmal. Green maybe getting away with a push-up, but look at the double team. Well, I would say Green's very lucky that he didn't get called for a foul there because, you know, Ed, you know this is a post player. Slight push in the back there.
Yeah, it could have went either way, that one, and Green was falling to the ground as well. Could have been a travel, you know, there's a lot of things that could have happened in that play. But Newcastle...
Oof, maybe with the elbow. It's going to be a baseline ball to the Eagles. So there will be 14 seconds on the shot clock. Oh no, 2 free throws, I believe, yeah. So we are in the penalty. Well, the officials just trying to take care of a wet spot. Well, timeout has been called. These two teams want to talk it over. And 2:43 to go. Can the Bristol Flyers? I mean, this is essentially Operation Hang On.
You have a lot of basketball game left, and what you don't want to do is play basketball to hang on. You want to stay aggressive, keep playing like it's a 1-point game. You know, there's not really much of a lead to hold on to, but you can't help but feel the Newcastle Eagles are knocking on the door here.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to catch up on any of the highlights from the previous games and future games played here in the British Basketball League, go to the British Basketball League official YouTube page. We have all the highlights and also every game that will be streamed this season. Remember, and also catch Inside the Paint, also brought to you by the British Basketball League on the official YouTube platform. And also make sure you follow the British Basketball League on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Exciting times, Amro, here for the British Basketball League.
Oh, it is, and we've seen progress every year, but it just seems to be the progress is accelerated.
I mean, of course, the league is going in a good and different direction, but one positive thing we can talk about, we have the GB coach there. You can see Mark Studel in this league, but also some of the best British talent coming to play in the British Basketball League, something that, we didn't see in the last 10 to 15 seasons.
No, and it's on court and off court. You see the talent on court. It's right there for everyone to see. But there's a superb back office, support staff, media, production. A lot of the infrastructure is just strengthened, and you're only as good as your weakest link, and everything seems to be strengthening. So it's really optimistic and positive position that the British Basketball League is currently in.
Yeah, what I like about it as well, very fortunate, of course, to be going and commentating FIBA Eurobaskets and FIBA Basketball World Cups, but listening to big-time players ask questions about the British Basketball League. The tip-in is good, and Delpesh, it just signifies that he's too small. He can't guard me.
It's the former Bristol Flyers, Delpesh, with the tip-in that gives his team a 2-point lead.
Everybody likes an underdog story. We talk about Taj Green playing Division II basketball, Benedict College. This man played Division III basketball in the NCAA at Bates College, a mini Ivy League school. And my word, has he been a fantastic player so far here in the British Basketball League.
Well, he's got better as well. You always debate who's better, Marcus or Malcolm, and Marcus was a clear, winner at the start, but it was Malcolm now who had a more dominant season last year.
I'm not going to answer that question because I'm friends with both of them. Okay? I'm just going to... Well, Johnson now coming off the double high screen, trying to use another ball screen here from Delpesh. Again, an offensive foul. Another one's called against Delpesh. Well, we're going to have to look at the replay and review that one, but it's a second moving screen called against the former Bristol Flyer.
Yeah, well, I know the first one wasn't a foul in my opinion, but the second one, maybe got there a little bit too late. Let's see. I'm not sure again. It's just one of those ones that looks awkward, but I don't know what else Delpesh does there that's wrong or illegal.
I'm agreeing with that one because, there's slight movement from his arm, but I think that's initiated from the defense. And again, you got to be, well, another turnover now. They got numbers here. McGill's going to look to go all the way. Bit of contact and finishes under intense pressure, giving the Newcastle Eagles a 4-point lead. This time the foul has been called against Josh Ward-Hibbert.
It's an awful foul as well. No time ticked off in the bonus. Bristol Flyers will now take a trip to the free throw line, which they've done very well at this evening. And it's little plays like this now, the mental standoff between these two teams. Who makes more good decisions?
These are going to be big free throws now for Johnson. Remember, they've only missed one free throw here tonight, but as we mentioned, now is the time you simply just need to step up. He can cut this down to a one-possession game. He makes both of these, but he misses. Pressure just getting to him. Now, if he makes this one, it's still a 3-point ball game, but they're going to have to collectively as a team make a big defensive play down the other end. 1:46 to go. Plenty of time left in this game, but the Eagles, you can see them soaring with confidence. Again, this will be a big monumental victory because coming on the road and winning the second game of the regular season, team that's struggled, going to the dribble handoff offense, trying to find Ricky McGill. McGill going for the lob pass. Green comes up with it. Ward-Hibbert down the middle. He draws a foul. Doesn't get the and one, but it's a very sloppy defensive play there from the Bristol Flyers.
Can't foul there. You've got to be so disciplined. 3 seconds left on the shot clock. If you can just stand your ground there, let's roll. Graham Bell reaches in there, doesn't need to do it. But again, these are the little plays. Good decisions, bad decisions. They all compound into your destiny, whether you win or lose.
You know why this is actually a big game. I know it's early days and we can't really dictate who's going to finish top, but these two teams, Newcastle through their history and the players that the personnel they brought in, they have the right to sort of say, we have the expectations of finishing the top three, but so do Bristol because they finished in that spot last season. And, you know, if Bristol loses this game, it doesn't get any easier because who are you playing against next week on Sky TV? You're playing against the London Lions.
No, you're right. And, you know, expectations can be one thing, but it doesn't give you the right to have that position. So we're in a unique situation at the moment. The start of the season, I always like this because no real team has a true identity yet. Again, as so-called experts that we are, you know, we don't really know as well who, you know, besides the outliers, of course, you know, we don't really know, you know, because there's so many intangible factors, right? You can look at talent alone. I've been a part of teams that were the most considered the most talented team roster in the league. We came second in every competition to the Newcastle Eagles that year because they were a better team. They had better team chemistry. And I've also been on teams that perhaps hasn't got as much talent or a budget as other teams, and we've came out with silverware. So, you know, talent is only one ingredient. There's so many more other factors that come into play.
Listen, I just want to say thank you for referring to me as an expert because in my mind, I'm always going to be that little kid who is a big fan of the British Basketball League. Listen, go back to 1999-2000 British Basketball League final in the NIA in Birmingham. I was going with bags of Haribo when the London Towers was sponsored. And just behind the bench with Nick Nurse and Phil Handy playing on the court, you know, teasing the Giants fans. No, you're not having none of this. But again, as we mentioned, big moment now. 1:25 to go here in the fourth quarter. Free throws coming up for Josh Ward-Hibbert.
That's expert status, though. Weren't you doing market research with your Haribos front row?
Yeah, I saw Phil Handy at the FIBA Basketball World Cup and reminded him at the Mo Arena in the quarterfinal game in Sweden, Lithuania and Serbia, but I don't think he remembers that one. He was on the floor. Well, the free throw has been missed by Josh Ward-Hibbert. Okay, if he makes this one, still a two-possession game. Still plenty of time here for the Flyers. With every offense, every possession is going to count. Makes a second one. No doubt the Newcastle fans back on Tyneside watching this live stream. They want to see that final whistle blown. They want to see that second victory. Double team coming now. An offensive foul, suffocated defense. Again, the Eagles making a big defensive play there. I mean, look at this by Del Pesh, getting into position very well there against KJ, but Johnson maybe holding on to the ball a little bit too long there, Ann.
Yeah, I think so, Josh. I don't really like the offense. A lot of ball watching. And he was trying to create, Johnson trying to create for himself, but his four other teammates were just standing around, no movement. A lot easier to defend.
Now, if you're Bristol here, you don't want to foul here. Come up with a big defensive play. But Eagles, maybe a bucket here could be good night from the Tyneside. Johnson down the middle. Jump ball's going to be called. Possession arrow going in favor of Bristol Flyers. Great job there, but you know, a bit of a risky one there for the Flyers too.
It was, but good defensive stand there. Excellent help to come over there to block off Jordan Johnson being able to penetrate any deeper. The Flyers will have an opportunity here.
Flyers must score on this possession. They must get a defensive stop down the other end. Well, they go for the three. Three is up. No good. But Taj Green, again, soaring in the air like a real Eagle and securing the big rebound. Well, McGill now hesitating, going baseline, draws another foul. This is going to be a disappointing end here for the Bristol Flyers because no doubt Kapoulis has been sending the Eagles to the free throw line in costly errors.
It's another error there. They don't really need to foul. I think, yes, the clock is against you, but it's enough time to make something happen. You get a stop and a quick score. Instead, Ricky McGill get the opportunity here to extend this lead.
Well, Ricky McGill went to Iona College in New York. Also, same college, University NCAA, as Ben Mockford, the former Newcastle Eagles player from last season. But I want to say, is it DeAndre Wiggins, the former London Lions player? They were teammates at Penn Ionius in Greece, but another offensive board here for the Eagles. Well, you can start to hear it on the Tyne. The courtside are probably jumping up and down right now saying, away the lads. As they look like they're potentially going to pick up the second victory. You know, this could be a monumental start for the Newcastle Eagles to get back to that championship DNA form that they had in so many previous seasons.
Well, they've had 2 tests and they've been tough. Sheffield Sharks last week and now Bristol Flyers down in the southwest. And, you know, these are the types of tests you want. You know, when you got to have these long haul trips now to Europe, competing on a different competition, as well as the challenges which hold in a domestic play. You want to be battle tested sooner rather than later.
Well, the first ever piece of silverware that the Newcastle Eagles ever won in the British Basketball League was back in the Brighton Centre in 2005 against Nick Nurse's Brighton Bears, led by Fabulous Fenoy and Charles Smith. Last piece of silver they won was back in 2021. And our colleague Drew Lasker was a part of that team along with Maxwell. That was a great team. Darius Defoe. And that was against the London Lions for the the British Basketball League playoff championship, excuse me. They want to get back to those days, winning ways. That's all Newcastle fans know about.
Well, they've got a long way to go, but these early signs are certainly positive. They come up against a tough Bristol team here, and Bristol going to have to make some extraordinary plays here. There's still enough time to make Eagles uncomfortable here. But they're going to have to get something good, and they're going to have to get something quick.
You know, it's also interesting, you know, for so many years we have seen the great Ramon Fletcher lead this franchise to glory, and it's the second season without Ramon, so you know it's kind of adapting to life without your superhero that you've had for so many seasons that has been the face of this franchise. But you know what's great about both these two teams, having 2 teams from the British Basketball League featuring in the European Northern Basketball League, but also having a British Basketball League team in the Euro Cup, and also you know potentially the Basketball Champions League or in the FIBA Euro Cup, that being in the case of the Caledonian Gladiators, excuse me. But you know, exciting times, as I've already mentioned, for the British Basketball League.
Yeah, I agree, and it'll be uncharted territory for a lot of these clubs as well. And naturally, too, the involvement in European competition will attract higher caliber players, and naturally that pushes the league up again. So, no, certainly trending in the right direction.
Well, again, it's going to be a big Sunday for the Caledonian Gladiators as they go into their match in the Basketball Champions League pre-qualifiers against Fribourg Olympic. It is Fribourg, not Freiburg. It's going to be a sideline ball here to the Flyers. Foul has been committed. Now, you've been to the Virtue Arena, haven't you?
Yep.
Now, I haven't been there on game day, of course, but I've seen it. I went to actually watch a 63-year-old Mick Bett play in the Masters tournament. That was that was fun to watch, of course. But you know, what is the atmosphere like in front of those Geordie fans? Because I remember going to the Metro Arena back in the day. Newcastle fans, as well as Bristol fans, they know how to make a very intimidating atmosphere.
Yeah, I think the fans at the Virtue Motors Arena, the continuum is wide. So when things are going well, you really feel the positive energy there. But I've also been there when things have not been going well, and you can really feel the apprehension and anxiety from the fans. So it's got a wide continuum, Josh, I would say, but it's certainly you know, a building, you know, full of atmosphere and emotion.
Well, of course, this has been a very exciting game, but you know, Anne, I'm going to have to tell you, from this game that we've seen so far, who would have to be your player of the game, your MVP? I mean, I'm looking at Jordan Johnson right now. He has been phenomenal this evening.
Yeah, I think he's played a pivotal part there, and if it's not Jordan Johnson, it's certainly going to be his counterpart there in Taj Green. That's a great play. Ends up being a three-point play with the free throw, and then the finish high off the glass.
Well, 17.7 seconds left, 4-point ball game. You know, you're right. You know, it's got to be a tough one to pick that between Taj Green. 19 points this game. He has a double-double. To Jordan Johnson, 5 assists and 5 rebounds away from a potential triple-double. I'm going to let you pick this one, Ant. That's a tough one, but we got a timeout now as these two teams want to talk it over. 4-point ball game. The Eagles potentially soaring to their second victory in a very close matchup. To announce it now? Yeah, absolutely. So, Ann, I've asked you the question, your most valuable player of the game, who are you going for? I know you got two. It's between Taj Green and Jordan Johnson, but I'm going to let, as I said, your choice, your call. It's been a great game.
Well, I'm going against all big men membership card here, but it's been the floor general for me. It's been Jordan Johnson. I think he's done a lot of things, intangible things, as well as his impressive stat line of 23 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. I think he's done a really good job of getting his teammates involved and putting them in positions to score the basketball.
Well, we're talking about a man who did play in the NBA G League with the Rio Grande Valley Vipers. 34 games, he averaged 7.5 points a game. Spent some time playing in the Netherlands, but also he does have British basketball experience playing for the former, well, I say former, now it's a rebranded club in the Caledonian Gladiators, but did play at the time when they were known as the Glasgow Rocks. 29 games, he averaged 18.2 points per game, and it's great just to see him still hit after a season in Germany back in the British Basketball League.
Wow, and that's the difference there. Marginal difference is you have Newcastle Eagles almost with a 5-second violation, and then it's a foul instead by Bristol Flyers, which gives Newcastle Eagles the additional free throw, which is similar to the play before where Bristol Flyers benefited from. So you cannot foul when the ball is out of bounds.
So another foul has been committed, so Johnson will go back to the charity stripe. Well, exciting times here for the Newcastle Eagles, but, you know, at this point, if he makes both these free throws, it's going to be a 7-point ball game. You know, Bristol, you got to go for a three-pointer now.
Yeah, it's going to be desperation basketball now, and if Newcastle Eagles convert these free throws, it's an even bigger mountain to climb, and I think that look on Coach Kapoulis' face says it all.
Well, again, he knows it's going to be a big test next week as they are going to head into the game of the week on Sky Sports against the London Lions. Yeah, it's very interesting, as we mentioned, since joining the British Basketball League, making the playoffs in their first season. You know, they had 2 years where they didn't make the playoffs, but it's been slow progression. Once you get into the top three, all of a sudden you have a target on your back. You know, you no longer become the hunter, you become the hunted.
No, that's exactly it, and that's why great teams are great, because every single week they'll withhold a challenger. And London Lions play that very well. Last year they had the targets on their back the whole season, and this year is the same.
Well, big three coming up. The three is up, no good. That goes out of bounds. The Eagles will get it back with 7.1 seconds left as they have a 7-point lead and heading for their second victory. Well, a lot to work on, of course, for the Flyers, but Newcastle fans watching on the Tide, oh, we're the lads. You are going to pick up your second victory. Congratulations as the Newcastle Eagles win this one, 81-74 against the Bristol Flyers. A good start for Mark Studel, head coach of Great Britain. A big year for him heading into the FIBA Eurobasket qualifiers, but no doubt his mind's definitely fixated on turning this franchise right around. He's doing a good job so far.
It's been an excellent start. 2 difficult fixtures they've had so far this year. They've prevailed in both. This game was far from straightforward. It had its trial and tribulations, and especially in that third quarter, you feel like the Flyers were going to separate themselves and regain that home court advantage, but it was Newcastle Eagles that dug a little bit deeper and produced the goods.
Well, British Basketball League fans tuning into this game, we're going to take a look at the final stats of this game. As we mentioned, Newcastle Eagles winning 81-74 against the Bristol Flyers. And, you know, in the third quarter, Rand, it did look like Bristol were going to fly away with this game.
It did, and it was those gritty plays. You can see the battle of the boards. Yeah, 47-36 are in favor of the Newcastle Eagles. They still didn't shoot the ball very well. 6 for 29, a horrid time from the three-point line. But what that did is those extra possessions, they wore down the Flyers.
You know, I like to call this a character-building game because they came in here, they had a 12-point lead, they looked like they were dominating. And, you know, Bristol pegged them back. Bristol forced them into tough possessions, turning the ball over, but Bristol doing a good job of converting those turnovers into transition points. And Newcastle, it's one of those games, you know this especially, on the road, you have to grind this victory out. Can this be the kind of game that, you know, builds the clay of character of the Newcastle Eagles, that gets them back on track to being where they should be?
I think so, and they had players step up. The big three tonight was Jordan Johnson, Taj Green, and Larry Austin Jr. off the bench. You know, those three really contributed in a way that lifted the rest of the squad.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Leicester Riders currently in the third quarter against the Plymouth City Patriots, but now we're going to give you a list of some of the fixtures to look out for here in the British Basketball League. Saturday, the Manchester Giants will be hosting the London Lions, while Cheshire Phoenix on Sunday, they will be hosting the Sheffield Sharks. Remember, you can watch this all live on the YouTube platform of the British Basketball League. And I'll tell you what, I'm looking forward to that Manchester Giants game against the London Lions. Historically, there's always been a great rivalry in British basketball between the cities of Manchester and London. Well, then we're going to have a bit of a North derby as Yorkshire meets Cheshire. Sharks will be heading to the Cheshire Oaks Arena again. Cheshire, many have said after losing some of the key players we're going to struggle this season, but after a very emphatic victory on the road against the Leicester Riders, that doesn't look like the narrative is going to take place.
No, they're a very exciting outfit, long, athletic, active team this year that will be looking to upset many more teams.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we kindly ask you, if you can, head over to the next YouTube platform to watch Leicester Riders, as they are currently still playing against the Plymouth City Pages. But for now, here in Bristol, we would like to say good night. I'm Josh Bett. He's at Rowe. We'll see you for more games here in the British Basketball League.